Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez and welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today we're going to learn how to play the mythological card game Abyss. This 2 to 4 player game designed by Bruno Cathala and Chris Chevalier and published by Bombyx. There is a vacant seat that is absent in the Abyss Council of Lords and you aim to fill it up. Will you be able to put it with your own council members? Or unfortunately, will you just lose to your opponents and they'll be able to fill it up in your absence? Find out as we go to the table and learn how to play Abyss. Place the game board in the middle of the table. Shuffle the exploration cards and form a face-down deck on the exploration track. Shuffle the Lord's cards, and I'll activate my Genie magic now. Like so, and form a face-down deck on the Lord's space. Then turn over the top 6 cards of the Lord's deck. And we place them in court. Shuffle the tiles, the location tiles, face down to form a face down stack. And then we turn over the top tile from the stack. Shuffle the monster tokens and place them face down by the game board, like so. Do not forget to place the monster tracker by the side of the board as well. That is a key component. Place the 10 key tokens in a pile near the board. We'll just put this down here. We'll move the monsters down here as well. Each player will take a pearl storage cup and they'll each take 1 pearl to start the game with. And these plastic cups do come with your game. These aren't ones I separately ordered. We take the remaining and we place them beside the board to form a treasury. Finally, we place the tracker token on the topmost space of the monster tracker. Randomly determine the first player, and you're now ready to begin the game. And that completes the setup. Now play will proceed clockwise around the table as the game progresses throughout each round. On your turn, you must do these in the following order. So first, you can plot a court. And you do this by, if there's an empty space in the court, you can spend 1 pearl to the treasury, and then you can fill up the rightmost space in court. You can keep doing this as long as you can afford to, so you need to keep having pearls to doing this. However, as this is the beginning of the game, unfortunately that option is not available to you to begin with, and play just proceeds forward to the next steps. On your turn, you must choose to take 1 action. One of the actions that you can take is explore the depths. And all you need to do is just reveal the top card from the exploration deck, 1 by 1, and place them on the exploration track up at the top of the board, starting with the space closest to the deck and continuing to the right. Each time you reveal a card, you must follow these procedures. First of all, you must offer to other players if they would like to purchase this card. They must all have the opportunity to buy the ally, so you ask each player going clockwise. Each player then can either pass, or they can purchase it. The first player who chooses to purchase that card pays the cost to you, the person who is drawing from the exploration deck. Then they can add the allied card to their hand. The cost of the purchased ally increases during your turn. The first ally is worth 1 pearl. The second ally that an opponent buys is worth 2 pearls. The third one that the third player can buy is worth 3. It doesn't matter which player offers it, that price increase will still continue. A little note before moving on to the next step for this: once an opponent has purchased an ally card, they cannot purchase any more that turn. So if one of your opponents purchased this first card, they can't purchase, that player still can't purchase the next card that you reveal after that. But if none of the players want to buy that ally, you must either add it to your own hand for free, which immediately ends your turn, or leave it in its space on the board and reveal the next card. You must then offer the new card to your opponents, so it can go on sale, and so on. If all of the ally spaces are filled and nobody has purchased a card, then you get that last one for free, and you also gain 1 pearl. However, if you reveal a monster card, you place it in the space of the exploration track, and you can choose to fight the monster or keep exploring. If you decide to fight, you automatically get victory, and the monster is then discarded. You win the reward on the threat track. So in this case, it would be a free monster token, which gives you victory points right here for the end of the game. Or you can get another pearl. For this example, we're actually going to choose not to fight this monster, and we're going to move the threat track up. The more you move up, the greater the reward. Rewards can vary from pearls taken from the treasury, influence points from randomly drawn monster tokens that are kept face down, or keys. And I'll explain how those work a little later. And they look like this. Some spaces on the threat track offer multiple rewards. After defeating the monster, return the threat token to the first space. But we're not going to do that just yet. And then you continue to reveal cards. Here's a little important note. When a monster is revealed and placed on the last space, you must fight it. In addition to the rewards shown on the threat track, you also receive 1 free pearl. Once you have decided to either add an ally to your hand or fight a monster, your turn ends. So since we had a second monster, we have no choice but to fight it. I will take a token, and I will also take a pearl as my reward, and I move this back. So when this is done, all allies are placed face down in a space matching their race. However, all monsters shall be discarded in a discard pile near the exploration deck. Here's a little note. If the exploration card deck runs out, form a new deck, new face down deck, by reshuffling all the cards in the discard pile. When you request support from the council, take all the cards from one stack in the council without looking at them beforehand, and then you add them to your hand. On your turn, you may choose to recruit a lord by picking one of the lords available in the court. To recruit a lord, you must play enough allies from your hand and pay the cost shown on the lord card. I can explain how that, so here's how that works. The cost, which I'll show up on the screen, is located in the bottom right corner of the card. And I'll highlight that by using an actual picture of the card. You must pay the exact cost of the lord by playing allies from your hand. Pay the cost shown on that lord card. You must play the exact number of different races required, no more, no less. You must play multiple allies from the same race. The total value of the allies you play may be more than what is required, but no change is given. The extra allied points are lost. You may spend pearls to help recruit. You must still play at least one ally from each of the required races. But if the sum of the ally card values is not high enough, you can spend one pearl for each missing point from the treasury. So here's a good example. I would like to recruit the opportunist. I'm going to need 6 points. But because it has these two spheres, as you can see right there, that means I need to pay more than one type of ally card. Well, luckily, I have 3 different types in my hand. So I'll save this one for later, and then I'll put that in, and I'll explain how that works. Then I read the text aloud. During your turn, you may discard a Lord card from the court and replace it with the top one from the deck. So I think I will get rid of this one and replace it. All allied cards used to recruit a Lord are placed in the exploration discard pile, except for one with the lowest value. That's why I saved the crab, because he had the lowest value. This ally becomes affiliated with your cause. Place it face up in front of you. If you discard multiple allies with the same lowest value, you choose which one to keep. Affiliated allies remain in front of you for the rest of the game. They cannot be used to recruit lords, but they are counted in the final tally of influence points. After paying the recruitment cost, place the Lord face up in front of you. The Lord is said to be free and is available for use. Most of the Lords have a power that is applied immediately when the Lord is recruited, and only once. These powers are marked with an arrow, so the traitor has the arrow right there. That one can only be used once. However, some lords have a semi-permanent power that remains in effect until the lord is used to control a location. These powers are not marked with an arrow, so as you can see, the opportunist has no arrow. A little note, a player who controls a lord decides at which point during the game, their turn, the lord's semi-permanent power is applied. Also, once a lord is recruited, you move them down the track. However, you do not refill this space with that. That is where that's where you spend a pearl to fill that seat. You can plot at court. After you recruit a lord, slide the remaining lords to the right so that any empty spaces are all as close to the deck as possible. If there are at least 3 lords left in the court, the recruited lord is not immediately replaced. But if there are only 2 lords left, you gain. The player who revealed those 2 gains 2 pearls. And you must fill all the available spaces by revealing lords until every single space in court has been filled. As soon as you gather 3 keys, which I did, they're on cards too, you must immediately take control of a location. On location cards, you will find the name of the location, a symbol that gives you an indication on how to win influence. So this one says for each of your politician lords, you gain an extra 6 points. 2 for each politician lord, plus 6. So the blue. So 2 points for each of the blue lords. And those are the influence points that will be tallied at the end of the game. When you take control of a location, you may take one of the available face-up locations, or draw 2 to 4 locations and choose from one of those drawn, then place the rest face up beside the board. Make them all available for later turns this way. The one you choose you get to keep, so I'm going to choose this one. You keep the rest of these face up for your opponents to choose on future turns, but you can only choose between one or the other one. You place the chosen location in front of you. Any lords to control that location must be slid underneath the location. It's so their powers are covered. These powers are no longer available for the rest of the game. So you gotta think carefully on whether you wanna take that location or not. Any tokens, key tokens you use, you can just simply discard them and return to the pile from where they started. If you gain multiple key tokens at once, you end up with more than 3 keys in your possession, including any provided by lords. You may choose which keys you will use to take control of the location. A little note, some lords control a location all by themselves. In this case, remember to slide the ambassador under the location so its power is hidden. When you have finished your actions, your turn is over. The player to your left is now starting their turn and do the same steps in order as I previously mentioned. Players continue taking turns until one of them hits the end game conditions, and the game ends when the following occurs. So first is a player will have 7 lords on their side, or a player recruits a lord and there are no more lords in the deck to completely refill court. So when they get to these double pearls again, and there's no more lords to be refill. In either case, the active player completes their turn normally. Then each of the other players gets to take one last turn. Finally, each player places the lowest value ally of each race they still hold in their hands. Any other allies in their hands are discarded. Now each player adds up their influence points. You get points from, number 1, locations you control, so these. Number 2, lords you have recruited. The victory points of each lord is up in the top right corner of the card. Number 3, the strongest affiliated ally from each race. So you'll have multiple races as this game proceeds. And finally, monster tokens you hold. So like I said, I'd be gaining 2 points. The player with the highest influence point wins the game. If there's a tie, the tied player with the most pearls wins. If there's still a tie, the one with the highest value lord wins. That's all you need to know to play Abyss. If you have any questions about this game, please put them down in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell to be notified for videos just like this. And if you're a big fan of the channel and would like to support us, consider becoming a Patreon supporter on our Patreon page. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. It gives you perks such as early access to how to play videos just like this one. And if you are seeing this on our Patreon page, thank you for your donations. For all of our current Patreons, your donations mean a lot to this channel and it helps us do what we do. If you're a big fan of the channel and like to show off your fandom, consider going to our merch store at our Etsy shop. I will leave a link to that in the description below, where you can have our logo shirt as well as other very wonderful designs that I came up with myself. So you can just click on that, check it out. Be on the lookout for our upcoming gameplay video on Abyss, but until then, thanks for the views.